So there's a few things that you need to know about moving to Fort Lauderdale. In fact, we've compiled a list of 15 things that we think you should know before moving to Fort Lauderdale, and we're going to get to it right now. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Suzanne.
I'm Kev.
And we're the Morris Group.
And welcome to our channel, Living in Fort Lauderdale with Kev and Suze. So, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, playing, drinking, dining, working, all kinds of things, anything that's going to go on inside out, upside down, backwards and forwards here in Fort Lauderdale, then this is a place to be.
Make sure you subscribe and tap the bell so that every time we drop a video, you'll be notified. So we get many people that are reaching out and calling and texting and wanting to know about Fort Lauderdale. If you're interested, call us, text, shoot us an email or DM. So we decided that we would start with number one.
So basically, kind of how it all began, okay? And what we found one of the best places to start is start with the mama and the papa of basically modern Fort Lauderdale. That's basically Frank and Ivy Stranahan and the historic Stranahan house. Now, this house is absolutely awesome. It's museum quality, and I do believe it's on the National Registry. It's certainly on the Florida Registry and the Broward County Registry of Historic Places. But basically, it was built in 1901. And it now serves as a museum for over 10,000 people coming here every year. Basically, when Frank Stranahan came to Fort Lauderdale back in the 1890s, the land belonged to the Seminole Indians, okay? And he set up a trading post so that people could, going from West Palm Beach down to Miami, would have a place they could camp out if they needed to, they could interact with the Seminole Indians, but they could buy the goods and services and the supplies that they needed for the trip. So that's kind of how it all got started, kind of modern Fort Lauderdale. So the Stranahan house is definitely not to be missed when you come down here.
I brought my twin sister when she came down, and we had a fabulous time viewing the Stranahan house, and I think you would too. Okay, let's talk about the access to job opportunities.
So one of the things that people most love about living in Fort Lauderdale is actually the abundance of job opportunities. And Fort Lauderdale has seen a tremendous change from being the tourism hub and the spring break hub back in the 80s, actually going back to the 60s and the 70s, but most recently in the 80s and the early 90s. The unemployment rate has really come down. It's about 3% right now, and there are a lot of companies that have actually relocated down here into Fort Lauderdale. AutoNation, Hotwire Communication, Citrix Systems has a huge complex down here. Spirit Airlines is down here. And also there's about 33 million folks that come visit here every year. So we still get a lot of activity, and a lot of the jobs and employment is around the tourism industry. I mean, stuff like transportation, retail, hospitality and accommodation, food services. The other thing that's really come on very strong here in Fort Lauderdale, and something that's actually it makes it even more appealing to folks of all ages, is the growth of the healthcare industry. We have great places now like Holy Cross, Broward Health, Baptist Hospitals, Cleveland Clinic. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have really turned Fort Lauderdale into a bustling hub for healthcare. There's also other growing industries, including technology, manufacturing. There's a tremendous growth in financial services, global logistics, because we are within 100 miles of three international airports. Marine industries. Well, I mean, it's in addition to being the site of the largest boat show in this hemisphere once a year.
This is true.
There's all kinds of marine industries, all kinds of marinas. There's all kinds of industries around marinas. Okay, and everything. It's all set up to basically make it conducive to folks wanting to come down here and live down here. Even if you just come down for the high season, come on down, check things out. The advent of more and more folks working from home, it's really turned into a great place to live. And the city, much to its credit, in the area, much to their credit, has really begun to capitalize on this additional resource pool that's coming in.
Well, honestly, Kev, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to remote work here?
True. That's very true, Suze.
living in Fort Lauderdale means you're living in the Venice of America. And what do we mean by that?
Well, actually, for those of you that obviously know what Venice is over in Italy, Venice is made up of a series of canals and navigable waterways. Fort Lauderdale has over 165 miles of navigable waterways that allows residents to basically get almost anywhere they want to or need to by boat. Okay, and there's the new river tunnel that was built. Actually, is one of the three underwater bridges in the state of Florida. The other two are up in Disney World, so we know kind of how important that is. Okay, and basically what happens is that in order for folks to be able to get back and forth from the actual beach, because parts of Fort Lauderdale are actually a barrier island, which means that they're an island between two bodies of water, the easternmost point being the Atlantic Ocean, and then the Intercoastal Waterway, which is one of the navigable waterways that go north to south here in the States. But I apologize, Suze, I digress. Okay, but basically what happens is in order for folks to be able to get around there with their boats and not have to be subject to all the drawbridges going up and down and waiting, there are tons and tons of canals and little rivers and little lakes and little waterways that come through there, truly making Fort Lauderdale actually the Venice of America.
You know, Kev, there is one thing that we need to do. They have the gondola. It's one of those packages where you can have a gondola ride and go out and experience that. And there's several different packages, and we're going to try that one time.
Sounds like a plan. I'll go ahead and mix up my adult beverages, and we'll get things set up.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, Kev, let's go ahead and talk about the outdoor lifestyle, which we're in favor of.
So actually, most folks don't even know we actually have our own coral reef. Okay, it's a 15-minute trip out of Lauderdale by the Sea to discover an entire coral reef system off of our shores. It's actually two reefs. One of them is a reef that was actually created by adding sunlight to it to accelerate the growth of the coral reef itself. Okay, you get a huge variety of underwaters, marine life, fish, plants. Okay, and basically being less than 100 yards off of the shore. Off of the beach, you can basically walk out there if you want to, swim, snorkel. A lot of folks will take a little snorkel trip out there. It's just a very, very easy swim all the way out there. So the other thing is that, you know, we've talked a little bit about it before in some of our other videos, and we certainly encourage you to check our other videos about Fort Lauderdale. But the consistent warm water means that there's all kinds of stuff going on here. There's a river walk in Fort Lauderdale. They actually call it Florida's most beautiful miles. It's a scenic stroll through plant life along New River. There's some wonderful restaurants, some wonderful places to stop and get something to eat, some nice little shops in there. There's also
the historic hotels.
Historic hotels that are in there, stuff like that. If you're looking for something a little bit more active, a little more strenuous, you can definitely throw on a wetsuit during the cooler times of the year, or just throw a bathing suit on and go head for the ocean and do a little paddle boarding, some snorkeling, or some scuba diving. We've actually seen folks walking through the downtown areas with with their wetsuits.
Yeah, with the tanks on.
Tanks on those. Tanks carrying the tanks over their shoulders. It's an incredible sight. It's just so fun to watch all these kind of things going on. So and you know what?
And don't forget the fishing, because we've seen people come in with the catch of the day.
That's true. And most of the restaurants down here, as we've mentioned before in some of our other videos, most of the restaurants down here before more than happy to cut up your catch of the day and serve it for you.
And who doesn't like fresh seafood?
Very, very true. Very, very true. So the other thing is that, you know, and if you want to do things outside of the water and outside of the beach, we have over 40 golf courses in and around the Fort Lauderdale area. So if you are a pro, there's definitely a course for you. If you're a duffer like I am, it's trying to become a golfer. There are courses like that for folks like that, so you can do all those kind of fun things. There's tennis courts. There's all kinds of parkland available.
That's true. Yeah.
And if you're looking for things to do, kind of with the locals kind of hang out, is there's basically at the Secret Woods Nature Center. It's 56 acres of a floodplain that you see only the native plants and native animals like butterflies and exotic birds, cypress trees that are basically local and indigenous to Fort Lauderdale. So, and then it's one of Suzanne's favorite places. It's the Hugh Taylor Birch State Park.
Oh, and in fact, it's right across the street from the Stranahan House. They're connected. They have over 250 birds. They have festivals that are there. The Tulip Festival, I believe, is in April. You can have a picnic. They have paddle boarding. There's so much to do for everybody of all ages. Bring the kids, the grandparents. And just have a great time.
You'll never run out of things to do outside down here in Fort Lauderdale. Now here's something I bet you didn't know and I bet you didn't expect to see. Fort Lauderdale actually has an ice hockey team. That's right. We have the Florida Panthers, a professional ice hockey team, and I tell you, these guys are great. It's an NHL team, and they are certainly NHL quality folks. And it has fostered a increase in interest in ice hockey that I don't think anybody really ever anticipated. That is definitely something worth coming down and taking a look at. The other part of it too is that just as kind of a hint to folks, when it gets a little hot in the summertime, Suzanne and I have been known to duck in to watch the Florida Panthers practice in their practice arena and watch some of the kids play, watch some of the kids skate and stuff like that. It's a great little reprieve from the heat. Get kind of cool down a little bit. Get to check out some of the local flavors, see some of the local kids. Definitely a double thumbs up for the hockey that we have going on down here, because I know that a lot of folks aren't expecting to see ice hockey this far south.
Okay, let's talk about the shopping here in Fort Lauderdale. There is a variety, and let's go into that.
Okay, there is no shortage of places to basically flex your shopping muscles. You can go anywhere from some of the largest malls we have, Sawgrass Mills Malls, just located 15 minutes from the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. Now, folks, I will tell you that this is something I've never seen before coming from Georgia. And coming from some of the bigger malls that we've seen up in Georgia, like the Mall of Georgia. Okay, this is a place where every single store, regardless of what their primary product is, they also sell luggage. Apparently, when I found this out just by talking to some of the folks that work there,
that was unusual when we were there.
It was.
I was like, what's going on with the luggage?
Folks come in from basically everywhere, Central and South America, Europe, to take advantage of some of the prices we have down here. And what they do is they'll fly in with no luggage whatsoever, and they'll buy whatever bag, whatever suitcases and everything else, luggage that they need to basically bring everything home. It's not unusual at all to see folks leaving the mall with 4, 5, and 6 suitcases or pieces of luggage that are full of stuff. Okay. The other thing is that we have a bunch of outlet malls that include stores like Gucci and Jimmy Choo, Prada, Versace. Okay. Now, for a more traditional mall experience, if you will, okay, we have the Galleria here at Fort Lauderdale, which is actually right across the street from the Fort Lauderdale beach. It's Michael Kors, Sephora, Bloomies, Macy's,
yeah, they
Nordstrom.
have Chico's, they have the Apple Store. You can also get to this mall if you ride the water taxi and hop off at one of those spots.
Very, very true. Now, if you're a little more adventurous, okay, then we have the Festival Marketplace, which is kind of a open-air European-style marketplace. You can get anything from your traditional, just everybody bringing whatever it is they want to sell, to like a farmer's market type of environment.
Fresh fruits, vegetables.
Vegetables, and stuff like that. There's a Ferrari museum that's actually fitted with some of the coolest things about Ferrari.
Now, don't tell me that's not one of your favorite places. He always mentions it every time we drive by.
I can't help it. I mean, I love looking at nice cars and stuff like that.
And some of our friends like to go to the Fort Lauderdale Swap Shop. Greg went and picked up a bike there. It was a terrific deal. So if you're interested in shopping, we've got a variety for you. Okay, let's talk. If you're coming to Fort Lauderdale or relocating with a family, let's find out what we have for families, and that's a lot.
We have all kinds of things. We have Extreme Action Park, which is basically it's for the young and for the young at heart. So you can kind of go out and check out high intensity road courses. There's go-karts that are going on. There's Dolphin World. That's it's a one of a kind aquatic experience, as you can kind of ride through the water on the back of a dolphin, which is very, very cool. Okay. There's the Young at Arts, which is an interactive art museum for kids. Basically, it's considered one of the top things to do, and it is always in demand with the kids. And we as parents and grandparents, we love going in and seeing and watching the kids do having a fun time. Our grandson enjoys the heck out of going there and basically spending as much time as he can there. One of our favorite places, and I like it for the serenity and for the beauty of it, is basically it's Butterfly World. It's one of the largest butterfly exhibits and aviaries in the world. There's over 1 million butterflies there, and if you walk through there and you're very, very quiet and you walk very, very slowly, you'll see the butterflies. They'll come and they'll land on your hands or they'll land on your nose. It's absolutely amazing. It's very, very calm, very, very serene. Okay, I mean, even if folks get a little bit of stress down here in Paradise, it's definitely worth going and checking it out and kind of relaxing there. The other thing that is enjoyable is for the folks that are looking for a little more action. Okay, are the airboat rides. Okay?
Whoa, we love that.
So basically, they take you out into the Everglades, take you on an airboat, show you around. You get to see alligators, you get to see snakes, you get to see some incredible birds and plant life down there, and basically you're flying across the Everglades, at 15, 20, 25 miles an hour on an airboat. So if any of you have seen any movies with those airboats in there, they are a blast. They are truly a blast. So
that's true, and at the very end you can hold your own little alligator. Of course it's protected, but it's a nice shot.
So exactly, it's a blast. So there are many things to do outside. Again, we focus on the beach, but there's many things to do outside the beach. But again, we'd encourage you to take a look at some of the videos that we have up in our
video library.
In our video library, you'll see some of the things that we've done and some of the things that we've seen. But yeah, it's if you have any questions about anything, if there's something that you think we've missed or something you're interested in, please feel free to drop us a note in the box below. We'll certainly check into it and get back to you. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We're the folks that answer the phone.
And you got this far, go ahead and give us a like.
Exactly, and shoot us a text or slide us a DM on what you're looking for. So you know what? We want to make sure that everybody understands there's also a lot of arts and a lot of culture going on down here too. It's not just all fun and games, although it is kind of hard to set aside the fun and games. But there's all kinds of experimental cultural productions going on. We have basically 3 huge art warehouses. One of them is a Flagler Arts Technology Village. Okay, there's a Fort Lauderdale Artwork. There's the Music and Arts of South of Sunrise. It's called MASS. Okay, in the South of Sunrise District. It's a music and arts festival that goes on. The Bonnet House Museum. Suzanne, you've been there. You can tell us all about the Bonnet House.
Oh yeah, the Bonnet House is absolutely terrific.
So it's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things going on there. In addition to the tours that they have going on at the Bonnet House, they have variety shows like Disney in Concert. They'll do some movies in there for the kids. They'll actually have some guests coming in from like the Miami City Ballet, some of the Fort Lauderdale schools, the arts and drama folks from some of the local schools will come there and put on productions for everybody to come and check it out. Okay. In addition to, we have what we deem as a world-class performing arts center, the Broward Center for Performing Arts. Hamilton has played there. They've had some great concerts there. We've seen a lot of things that come down there. Broadway shows that come down, like Cats, as I said, Hamilton, some of the other shows that have come down here. We've spoken about it before, the Stranahan House Museum. There's all kinds of exhibits that come through there as part of what's going on in there. And then there's all kinds of arts museums that are happening and museum activities. There is just a tremendous amount of things to do so that you can kind of you can flex your arts and culture muscles. You can kind of get your experience of all the culture going on, music and everything else. So these are things that are definitely not to be missed, and they are certainly worth checking out when you're down here.
Let's talk about Fort Lauderdale, the festivals, and they have it for all ages
and for all interests. I mean, basically, you can rock out every year to the 3-day Tortuga Music Festival. It's basically all the proceeds are donated to the Rock the Ocean Foundation for Oceanic Conservation. Okay, we've mentioned this before in some of our other videos. Fort Lauderdale is a very, very pet-friendly area, so our furry friends, our four-legged furry friends, have an opportunity. You can check out the Female Brew Fest every day to sample brews from women-led businesses and jam out to the DJs and the singers. You can bring the dogs to there. The dogs are more than welcome to come along. You can also go check out some of the international luxury yachts. One of the world's largest in-water boat show, the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, happens once a year in October. It is the largest boat show in this hemisphere.
And that's not to be missed.
And it is not to be missed. Now, we will warn you, okay, some of the boats are going to basically make you very, 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 very envious. I've gone down there many times trying to figure out exactly how am I going to be able to swing and convince Suzanne to let me go ahead and buy that 200-foot long yacht that can basically carry a helicopter and has a pool on it.
Well, that's true, but most of the time you have to have an invitation.
This is true. So, but it's again, there's all kinds of festivals for all ages, indoors and outdoors. The things to see and do around Fort Lauderdale, they just never end. So basically, One of the things that folks ask us about all the time, especially those folks that are bringing their families down here, is about the schools. So I'm gonna ask Suzanne to not say anything, because basically, she being a teacher, she's a little bit more choosy about schools and stuff like that. Not to say that you need to be, but essentially from the standpoint of schools down here, I grew up and went to public school, and we had a private school close to where I grew up, and that was about it. Down here, in order to basically accommodate all the educational requirements of all the folks coming here from all over the world, okay, there are private schools, there's private schools, there's public schools, there's parochial schools, and there's charter schools. There's basically schools to be able to support whatever it is that whatever educational track, educational interest, and educational needs that your child or children need, or that you want them to have. So there's a variety of school choices, educational choices, and educational methods down here. So it's something that everybody should be looking at, should be aware of. If you have any questions about what may be best for you, what may not be a good area, please feel free to let us know. We'll basically tell you everything we know, and we'll point you in the right direction if we don't have all the information that you need. One of the things that we're constantly asked about when people are coming down here is basically, how do I get here? What's the best way? And what's available when I'm here? Okay? And if I want to go somewhere else, how do I do that? Well, folks, I got to tell you, if you've ever seen the movie Trains, Boats, and Planes, guess what? Fort Lauderdale has trains, boats, and planes. Okay? We're home to one of the largest cruise ports on the East Coast, actually one of the top cruise ports in the world in Port Everglades. Okay? There's the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport that has international flights leaving to over 40 countries every day. Okay, there's a train, the Tri-Rail train and the Amtrak train comes down through here. So whether you're coming down by train, boat, or plane, or whether you're going to drive down and you just want to park and take advantage of cruising, and you want to take advantage of flying out somewhere, our airports are very, very convenient. A lot of folks come down here and fly into, or take the train into Fort Lauderdale, and then just take an Uber or take a taxi over to the Port Everglades cruise port, where they can jump on a cruise to go out there. There's also a lot of large private boats that come into the marinas, that come in from all over the world. It's not unusual at all to see boats coming in from Panama, Malta, Costa Rica, and other some South American countries. Basically, there's all kinds of travel opportunities for folks coming in and folks going out. So we've talked about this in our 5 reasons that we came down here. We've talked about it in other videos. Okay, when you have all kinds of folks coming in from all places of the world and everything else, and bringing different cultures in here, what does that give you? One of the best things it gives you is it's a superb dining scene, and all kinds of cuisine some of the things that I've experienced down here I never even thought of before I came down here. And I've been pretty much all over the world in many, many countries. But you get a little bit of everything. You get the fresh seafood, which Suzanne and I actually love. You get the Cuban cuisine, which the Cubans, and of course the Cuban coffee is just incredible. Padrinos is one of our favorite places to go for Cuban cuisine. Okay, you can get the traditional breakfast fare, the diners, and everything else, which is always nice to have in the event that you don't want to go out and really, really flex your culinary muscles. But it's an incredible dining scene. We have Morton's, we have Ruth's Chris, we have some of the best local seafood places, some of the best local Italian and Chinese. We have Romanian, we have Greek, we have African American, we have soul food, we have all kinds of Hispanic food, El Salvadorian, we have Mexican, Cuban, we have Guatemalan, anything that you can pretty much think of, you have an opportunity. And the reason is actually very, very clear, and it became very clear to us very early on. So many folks from so many places come here, and they bring with them the things that they like, and they want to share with everybody else. And we really appreciate that. It's a very, very cool thing to have somebody think enough about where they came from to share a significant portion of their culture with you, which is their cuisine. And sometimes that's the best introduction to getting into and learning about a different part of the world. So there's an incredible dining scene. You also have places, if you walk along Fort Lauderdale Beach, you have some of the coolest, like a Moroccan restaurant, which is actually very, very cool. I walked by there a couple of times. It's so crowded that I haven't been able to get in, but it smells so good. I know why it's crowded when we go by there. So it's just all kinds of great and wonderful things to from the standpoint of a dining, all kinds of options. One of the things that folks ask us all the time, is there parking, and is parking expensive? Well, the answer is a yes and a yes, okay? And honestly, during the high season, you need to know this, okay? And I can't say it any other way. I can't really even soft pedal it. parking sucks. Okay, and you have to get to the beach early in order to find a parking spot close to the beach. In many cases, what we've done is we've actually come down and parked in a parking area, parking garage or a parking lot. And it's a little further away than we like it to be, but we'll take an Uber out because basically it's a lot easier than trying to fight the traffic to get up to wherever we're going. So parking does exist. It is expensive, okay. It's somewhat limited, but I mean, it's something that you deal with. I mean, when you have sometimes upwards of 23 million people coming to your city on an annual basis, there are times of the year, the high season, especially the holidays when folks are down here. We also actually have seen an increase in parking, and some of those you folks from New England will love this. One of the things that's actually been the most significant contributor to parking is when the New England Patriots play the Miami Dolphins, and they play at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is technically in Broward County, which is just outside of Fort Lauderdale. So people are looking to park and they're looking to get rides from there because the number of folks that are coming down from the Northeast up in New England to come see this game is increasing every year. And we know why. I mean, when the game is played in December, it's 15, 20 degrees up in Boston, up in Massachusetts, and it's 75 and 80 degrees down here. So who wouldn't want to watch a football game at 75 and 80 degrees when you can have a nice, cool adult beverage in your hand? One of the things that folks ask us all the time is Fort Lauderdale really as animal friendly as you make it sound? Okay, are there really places where you can take your dog? Well, we have our little four-legged furry friend, our Buford. So, yep, he loves his daddy. We take him pretty much anywhere we want to go. I mean, you can take him to restaurants, you can take them to places. One of our favorite restaurants, Shooters, actually has a menu for dogs when they come down. They make it, it's an all natural menu. They make all natural dog food for you. It's incredible, and of course Buford, he loves it.
This one he can't decide if it's going to be chicken or turkey.
That's right. So
sometimes we just get them both.
Exactly. So he loves it. There are a lot of dog parks that you can take your dog to, so you can exercise them. Now, one of the cool things about the dog parks down here that we've noticed is that there's actually two dog parks inside. There's a dog park for the bigger dogs, so that they can go out and do all the running and jumping. Then there's one for the littler ones like Buford here, so he doesn't get run over by a 65-pound or 70-pound bigger dog from him.
Right, so it's safe.
So now the other thing is that there's also some wildlife down here, and people ask about that. So if you check out some of our other videos, you've heard us talk about fire ants, which if you haven't run into them, then you just haven't been down here long enough.
Or some of the iguanas, which are about the size or even bigger than him. So, of course, we've always got to keep him on a leash. Otherwise, he tries to run after the iguanas.
Exactly.
So, got to be careful with that.
And I mean, after all, the University of Florida gators. I mean, there are gators down here. And
he's good gator bait.
Yeah, exactly. He would be good gator bait, right? But, no, I didn't say that. But essentially, there's some neat wildlife down here. If you go further out to the far edges of Fort Lauderdale, there is Florida panther that's around here that sometimes gets around. We've heard stories about black bear coming down. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard, if you haven't seen it on TV, basically some folks have let snakes go loose or go wild into the Everglades, and they've propagated some. So there is a fair amount of wildlife down here. There's also some very familiar wildlife, possums, raccoons, and squirrels and whatnot that you see. And there's the usual conflagration of insects. I mean, there's bees and wasps and hornets and flies. Now there's mosquitoes down here. Now it's just me. Okay, and people tell me that I'm nuts sometimes, but I'll tell you, some of those mosquitoes, they are so damn big, I swear that they're looking for a runway to land on. Some of them are big, especially at the height of the summertime, but you need to know about it, okay? But overall, it's all good. It's terrific.
Well, that's true, because the mosquitoes go for him, but they don't go for me.
Exactly. So I take the hit for everybody. So basically, one of the things that's really come on recently, and I'm sure it's happened in other parts of the country too, but something that actually is very enjoyable for both us and for our adult children, okay, is Fort Lauderdale's become an emerging hub for craft beer. Okay, I mean, if you love a good craft beer after a long day of work, you've been out on the beach and you want to have sit down and quaff a nice cold one, okay, and basically most of them are dog friendly, so we take Buford with us anyhow. But you can go to the microbrewery Lauderdale, and they have a sea porter malt with a tropical kind of a Caribbean coconut mix, okay. There's an incredible Oktoberfest down here, and you got a from the Kaufner Brewing area. There's a lot of places. The Invasive Species Brewery, which kind of it's built around a kind of a motif of stuffed tarpon and stuffed taxidermy stuffed tap room, kind of an old-fashioned tap room, and they have a rotating beer menu that they walk around. There's a new place, we haven't been there yet, but we're going to check it out. It's called Orchestrated Minds Brewery. They have some really, really interesting blonde ales and some lagers that come up. Okay, and there's also one of our favorites that we've been there a couple times now.
Yeah, the boys really enjoy that.
And our boys really like it. It's Tarpon River Brewing. It has some great IPAs. They have some incredible cheese and fish tacos that go along with it.
Oh, and you remember we had that, what was it, the barbecue broccoli or cauliflower?
Barbecue cauliflower. They have a nice blonde lager, and then they also have like a margarita sour in there too. So definitely a lot of variety. Definitely on the up and coming. If you're into craft beers or if you're into microbrewery, definitely come down and check out what we have going on down here. There's tons and tons to choose from.
That's true, and especially during October, they have all of the different types of pumpkin ale, which, our lovely daughter loves. Well, guys, if you made it this far about the 15 important things or about moving to Fort Lauderdale, and you have enjoyed this video and found anything of interest to you or for information, would you please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and tap the like. If you have any questions, comments, go ahead and drop a comment below and tell us what you'd like to know about in the next video. We have people calling us all the time, so either text us, email, slide into our DM, give us a ring, and we will get back to you. And
basically, we've got you covered.
Yeah, we've got you covered. Living in Fort Lauderdale with Kevin Suze.
And until next time,